Let's welcome in now Georgia Congressman Buddy Carter. Congressman, welcome. We're going to have to take the show to Savannah one of these days and get some biscuits and gravy.
There you go. We got some good ones.
You got a great district. We've got some serious business to get to as well. Breaking tonight, the Trump White House is saying they want to move to ask for over 20,000 National Guardsmen to come in and speed up deportations. How important is it to you that the government is using every resource possible to actually enforce the law?
Yeah, Donald Trump campaigned on. This is what he promised. Promises made, promises kept. And that's what he's doing. He's keeping his promises. He's going to secure this border. He has secured it. Now we start that process by which we get rid of these illegals who are in this country illegally. Now they've broken the law, and they need they need to suffer consequences as a result of that. Absolutely.
And speaking of consequences, a big part of the effort to actually enforce our laws is the work of the hardworking men and women of ICE and what they do every day. Why do you think some of your Democrat colleagues in the House decided to impede those efforts in the state of New Jersey and actually assault some of those law enforcement officers? Shouldn't there be ramifications for them?
Absolutely. We teach our children that actions have consequences, and there should be consequences for Congress people who do these type of things and take these type of actions. You know, the Democrats have lost their mind. They'd rather defend a criminal illegal in an ICE facility than they would to stand for their own constituents. And that's something that we cannot tolerate. That's why I have proposed that they be removed from sitting on committees. They don't need to be sitting on committees with serious lawmakers, not when they pull these kind of actions.
Absolutely. It seems like a great effort to have Menendez and the other House Democrats who were involved in this taken off their committees. But what about booting them out of Congress, sir? Because you look at someone like George Santos, a Republican who obviously made mistakes, misstated things on campaign expense reports. Not to defend Santos, but I never saw Santos assault a law enforcement officer. Shouldn't they be expelled?
Absolutely. It should be. And you know, again, actions have consequences, and they need to suffer consequences as a result of this. And you know, they should be on committees along with serious lawmakers. And certainly we need to look at this. We need to look at this, and they need to suffer the consequences of what they did, and especially during National Police Week of all times.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And you were mentioning these Democrats, not just the House Democrats. You've got the mayor of Newark who was arrested last week. He was in court in New Jersey, pleading not guilty today. Over in Wisconsin, you have that liberal judge, Hannah Dugan, pleading not guilty because she's facing charges of obstruction for allegedly helping this illegal immigrant escape through the back door of her courtroom, as you know, to evade ICE agents. What's going on with all of these liberals who are actually helping illegal immigrants?
They've lost their minds. This is why the election results came out as they did, because Americans aren't going to tolerate this. Americans aren't going to tolerate a party like the Democratic Party that supports illegal aliens and illegal immigrants who have broken the law and come into this country. We are a country of laws. We have to abide by those laws. And when you don't abide by those laws, then there are consequences to be suffered there.
Absolutely. All right, let's shift. We've been talking about the Democrats. What about your fellow Republicans? Because we've got to be fair here on Newsmax that there are a lot of Republicans that are not pushing forward on, more legislation, frankly, to codify into law what President Trump is doing. Breitbart reporting tonight that 17 House Republicans have now signed a letter to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. They want him to get to work codifying these executive orders into one big bill that can become law. We've been talking about this for weeks and weeks, that it's one thing for the president to sign orders, but have you signed this letter, or will you sign this letter to make sure that if not all, at least most of these executive orders are actually codified into law?
I don't know whether I've signed it or not, to be quite honest with you, but I will sign it because it does need to be codified. And the reason why is because you have shifts in administrations. And if we continue to rule this country by executive orders, you're only going to have a shift every 4 years or every time you have a change in an administration. And that's not good. That's why the responsibility of Congress is to codify these laws. We should be codifying these executive orders by President Trump so that when the if we do have a different administration from a different party come in, they can't simply reverse it by executive order.
Absolutely. It's been, in the meantime, speaking of executive orders and strength on the world stage, this president on the Mideast tour has gone to one Arab nation after another, racking up hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. investment at just about every stop. Here he is addressing the troops in Qatar.
As president, my priority is to end conflicts, not start them, but I will never hesitate to wield American power if it's necessary to defend the United States of America or our partners. And this is one of our great partners right here. The real strength of our military doesn't come from its fighter jets. It really comes from our people. That's you. It comes from our people. You're unbelievable people. So you do your duty for us, and as Commander-in-Chief, I will always do and fulfill my duty to you.
You know, it's interesting. He also promised them that in his new budget, as you know, there's a big pay raise for the troops, not for, just uniformed officers and the rest of it. He wants to make sure the young men and women are getting paid well. Your thoughts, because I seem to remember covering the first Trump administration. The mainstream media told us this guy's a warmonger. He's going to have a war with North Korea and Iran and all that. And what I see him doing, sir, is actually thanking the troops for deterring wars and stopping endless wars and trying to get peace deals with Iran and Ukraine and Russia and other places. Your thoughts tonight?
This is what true leadership looks like. This is what negotiating from a position of power looks like. And that's what we've got in President Donald J. Trump. Thank goodness, especially after the last 4 years of what we experienced with the Biden-Harris administration. What a refreshing moment for this country to know that we have someone like this who truly is portraying American strength, who truly is portraying American leadership. This is what we need. This is why he is ushering in the golden age right here.
There you go. He talked about it in that inaugural address. Here we are, just over 110 days or so, and it's playing out before our eyes. Congressman, we sure appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.